Okay, hello everybody. How are you guys doing? Welcome to our program today. Oh, good one, very sharp. It's going to be boom, boom, boom. All right. Where do I start? T-pain here, fuel price there. We are hungry. We are dying. This one, that one, no money. All kinds of complaint. Full ground now. Even the people that thought that the thing is not going to affect them, even the people that thought they were immune to everything, everybody don't they feel it. Everybody is feeling it. In fact, when some of us were complaining so many years ago, so many long time ago, you say go and sit down. When they say, hey, this thing that people are playing with, oh, when the thing mature, when John go mature, you people will hear it, oh, people say go and sit down. We suggested all kinds of things. You said go and sit down. Now you are dying. You are collapsing. You are confused. You are filled with rage and agony. And you are agonizing. You don't know what to do. You've reached a crossroads. So what are we going to do? Don't get me wrong. I empathize with you. I understand what you're going through. But is that what you should be doing? The deed has been done. There's somebody that occupying the seat of power. There's nothing you can do about it now. But maybe there's some things that you can do. But we need to have a place to start in the middle of all this confusion. That's why today, my guest is somebody who, like we say here, been there, done that. You don't see 99, you remain 100. Maybe you don't even see the 100. Maybe you don't see 105, but you just come back, come stay. Sometimes go come for 45, 20, 30. Just say, I did look as they look. Until you come and ask him, then he will open up. That's his tap of wealth of knowledge, then tell you what to do. In Igbo, they say, the problem with elders now to see and keep quiet. But the problem with children, picking them, now to hear from the elder and make them know do. So without wasting your time, I'm going to bring somebody who knows what it means for comrades, for citizens, to get up from where they are sitting down and crying about what is not working and begin to do something. I'm talking about Comrade Baba Aye. Comrade Baba Aye, you're welcome.
Okay, that's Chidi, Abodi, Adehil. I greet everybody.
Thank you so much. Baba Aye, for a lot of people who don't know you, I'd like to first of all indulge us by telling us who Baba Aye is. Let's not be humble here because it's important that we know who you really are.
Well, thank you. Not, I'll say that first and foremost, I'm someone who wants a better society and realize that to win it, we must fight. And I've been doing that for the better part of the last 4 decades. I'm a trade unionist. I've been a trade unionist now for a quarter of a century. I'm a global trade union policy officer at the moment. I worked most of the period with the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria as Deputy General Secretary when I left. And I was very active both in the student movement. I was NANS PRO 30 years back. And before then, I served as speaker in 2 different students' unions. I think there are only 2 of us that have that record in the early 90s. And I was also active in the Campaign for Democracy. I served in the National Implementation Committee of Campaign for Democracy under Beko Ransom Kuti. And we've always also looked look, the thing is about power. We need to not just shout against what those in power are doing, but fight to win power. So I've also been very active in building alternative parties. That is to say, parties that realize that look, you cannot bring down the master's house with the tools of the master. So you see some people, they say they are into PDP, APC, or this, parties of the people that have brought us to where we are, and say that they want to change this. A lie. They are just going to settle themselves. So I've always been part of alternative parties, starting with. I contributed to establishing the National Conscience Party. Then it was National Conscience before it became National Conscience Party. And Gani, I was one of those that sold the forms for National Conscience before NCP. Then I was also a founding member of the Democratic Alternative. That was also in 94, serving as Lagos State Secretary for Youth Welfare and Culture at the time. And I'm also a founding leader of the Labour Party. I was the pioneer.
Mm.
Yeah, I was a pioneer on those state publicity secretary. And then at its founding convention, I was elected into the national leadership, serving for about 14 years in his leadership, including as Deputy National Secretary for most of that period. And I am proudly a member of the African Action Congress at the moment, and which I think, I think it is quite clear, is the revolutionary alternative, the partisan revolutionary alternative of this moment in our history. Aside partisan politics, I've been involved in broad coalitions because I think it's important as much as possible to forge our unity in organizing. I spoke about campaign for democracy, but I've also been involved in United Action for Democracy, which I served as national convener, and the Coalition for Revolution, which I am co-convener of. Yeah, finally, my primary organization, my socialist organization, is the Socialist Workers League, and I edit the Socialist Workers League website, which is socialistworkersleague.org.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You know, the reason why I I um I had to ask you to help us understand who you are is because we're in a period, in a moment in our history where anybody who has a camera can come online now and turn on their mic and begin to speak, and they will gather followers and they would claim that they know what they are doing. But then it's important to um, have people like you come and speak to us. Because I remember, I think it was Omoyele Sowore that said that right now we're in a period of revolutionary confusion or something. Maybe you help me put it better. We are at crossroads. People seem to be tired. It's just people are complaining. Before they were complaining and trying to express them. Now it's like they're not even talking anymore. They don't even know what to do. Some people are just like zombies. What do you think? I don't. Even me, I'm almost confused. How did we get to where we are right now in the country? How did we get to where we are in
Hmm.
Nigeria, where it's almost like somebody hoodwinked us? Like people are not even like they are not even raising their hand to do anything. They are just like caught in a like people sleepwalking. How did we get to this point right now? What
Hmm.
is happening? Please let me understand.
Very, very good question. To answer that, I'll start with this Yoruba proverb that when a somebody will get kill leg when they carry tray where they sell na hawker, and
Mm.
the tray where carry bends. And because they say why the tray bend, you go say you don't go look out for you go look everything. You need to look out from the foundation. And when you look at the K leg of where we are now in Nigeria, say now two legs. One of those legs now, the leg of our history. The
Mm.
second, and this is also always very important, the leg of the current global situation itself.
Mm.
We are in a period similar to The period after World War One, the period when fascism was growing, and I'm going back to that because there was a way the Italian political activist and philosopher thinker put it, Antonio Gramsci. He said he described it as an interregnum of morbid symptoms. Morbidity. When he said it's
Sure.
the period when the old refuses to die and the new is not strong enough to be born.
Mm.
Then you start seeing
Mm.
different kind of jagbajantis.
Mm.
We're in a similar period. Uh, Globally, looking at the first leg of this K leg, I mean, when fella was saying no be there attacher and Argentina, if you want to look at the situation in Nigeria, you go ask him, no be there Trump, they no be there waiting with this woman for Italy, no be there, you are seeing the rise of anti-immigrants, this thing globally, no be there, you look at Africa root today, and all that. So there's a general state of madness. Madness even gives it a flavor. There's a state of economic crisis, political crisis,
Mm.
ideological crisis, in short, general crisis, systemic crisis, organic crisis, yam, pepper, scatter moment. And in this sort of periods, the question more than ever the need for revolutionary organizations. But revolutionary organizations are swimming against the tide. So it might seem that we're doing a lot, but the water is more than the yam flour. But without even revolutionary socialist organizations this kind of time, we are totally lost. We can, because this moment of crisis also actually provide moments of opportunity for resistance. You will see that it's in this same period you had NSAS. It's in this same period you had bad governance. And I'm happy for you to grasp what I'm saying, the importance of revolutionary socialist organizations for seizing the moment, even within crazy, morbid situations like this. Without a take it back movement, it is very likely that there would not have been the NSAS. And don't take my word for it. I always tell people, don't take my word for it. You can say, is he not a member of that group? There are two people that are not affiliated to the group that have said this, and they have said it with evidence, going to the Twitter space to dig out this thing. One of this is Yemi Adamolekun of Enough is Enough, a well-respected NGO. And the second is Obi Ezekwesili, former minister. I mean, even if you say that Yemi is also NGO, Obi has no reason to clap for Shure and TIB as being the
Yeah.
ones that gave back to take it, because police have been killing people and nothing happened. And even what people at times don't even know is what happened in Ugeli that day. One, the guy was not killed. This is not in any way to say that what happened is not a serious issue. It was not killed. Two, it was not even answers. But TIB and particularly its leader Moyele Sowore seized the opportunity, seized that period that resist, and they could seize it because there had been consistent work in mobilizing, in organizing. The revolutionary campaign has started, had gone on, and a lot of people forget. Some will say Shegelink or what's his name, that in 2016 introduced the hashtag. The hashtags don't fight. Hashtag only project fight that is taking place.
Mm.
The people that have been fighting on the ground for years against NSAS have been TIP people. I
Baba,
remember when.
let me,
So
sorry,
these are moments, yeah.
I'm not cutting you short, but you said something. You said that there's been a global thing happening. I'm beginning to wonder, are you trying to say, or does it mean that Nigeria was just a victim of what was already happening globally? Because me, I want to know how, I want to zero in on Nigeria. I know what Nigeria used to be. I know, see, what we are condoning in Nigeria right now. If anybody told us that 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, which is like 2004, things were already hard. 2004 should be 20. Is it? Am I getting my thing correct?
2004. This is 2024. So yeah,
Can you
2004.
imagine? 2004. Things were already bad in Nigeria in 2004. But if anybody told us that by 2024 we will be seeing what we're like, there will be Nigerians will be lining up and they'll be giving them 2 cups of gari tied, and they'll be fighting, and somebody will be taking a video, and the people on the line are not ashamed. Even a politician will be proud to show that he, if anybody told us that Nigeria, oil producing country, that in 19 when first act period, maybe 77, in
77.
1977, we were just we just said let's just host this. That time we are hosting sports festival now and Festac, and this we'll build a whole Festac village just to host an event. To the whole of Festac, we build the national stadium to host an event. We build the national theater to host an event. That kind of a country right now is as poor as it is, where hunger is a thing, right? Hunger is something we're discussing in Nigeria. How did we get there?
Very
So
good.
I don't want to think yes, there's a global thing, and yeah, that's why Nigeria. No. I believe it's more than that. What happened?
I said it that there are 2 legs. I was on the first leg. The first leg is the global. The
Okay,
second leg is the
okay.
internal. Yeah, because the reality always has the broader context than the internal contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you also look at what the global does is it constrains what is possible or engenders what is possible in terms of there's global inflation,
Mm-hmm.
but in each country has its history. At each point, its history too has been shaped by global situations, but there is an historical establishment of wherever a country is related to its own evolution within the broader global context.
Mm-hmm.
With Nigeria, the point of departure is to understand what are the social forces, what are the political tendencies, what are the classes, uh, and how are they relating in collaboration and in contention.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in the Nigerian ruling class is one of the most decadent, one of the most self-serving, one of the most visionless sets of capitalists in the world. Uh, when you look at what happened after World War II, there was a period in which countries had developmental states. Go and look at even what some of those, Lin Kuan Yew was saying that how can Nigeria industrialize when you see that the Minister of Finance had personal interest that ran against it? That he was talking of Festus Okotie-Eboh, and things like that. And so the Nigerian ruling class had always been interested in, look, they can just put their hands inside the oily purse of the states. So what is the need for fostering industrialization? Uh, there was a short period where there was attempts at this, but also international situations partly contained this, the issue of structural adjustment program and all that. But coming back to the specific elements of your question about 4 years back and all that, we start with what is the nature of this so-called quote and unquote Fourth Republic and the classes that are there. Then you now trace it to Tinubu Ogagun Ojuyobo, who is now Ounlokon in the Aso Rock Palace. The military did not just leave. The military left because we waged a tireless struggle against military dictatorship, the struggle of the pro-democracy movement. But what happened in the 1950s repeated itself in 1999. What pushed the colonialists out of Nigeria? It was not just that the founding fathers, Awolowo, Azikiwe, it was because of the mass strikes, the demonstrations, which workers, the peasants' uprisings and all that made it unreasonable for them to still keep staying there. But they immediately did paddy paddy and handed over to the rising capitalist class. So similarly, the military handed over to this, and it's not accidental that it was a former military person, Obasanjo, that they handed over power to.
Mm-hmm.
It was not accidental. It's like what happened at a period before, when in the democratization of in Brazil, where they made sure that the parties that could were those that had military backing to slide from military dictatorship. And people also always forget something. People keep talking of that. Buhari started showing interest in contesting in 2003. People forget even in 1999 he wanted to contest in EMPP. It was that it didn't work out. So, but back to how then the things go from then there to now. Look at each of those governments. And Obasanjo, that had barely 20,000 naira in his bank account when he came out in 1999, became multimillionaire, wanted to stay for third term, ended up when that did not work, had what he called, if you remember, 2007 election, they said do or die elections.
Yes, so I
Politics
remember.
becomes the surest means to wealth for a tiny circle. So different sections battle with everything to get their distance. Look at Buhari when he will come in 2015, Mr. Integrity, Seriki Integrity, as some will say. How many cows did he say he had always been having that they never born picking, they never die and all that?
And it's small, is thatched house,
Don't mind them.
and the
So
children that meanwhile the children were
all
in,
in yeah, so spend big money for schools. So you had a ruling class that was always self-serving. And let me tell you something. You see, the 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 best of the worst. Don't get when I say best of the worst, it's like the worstest. The best of the worst is the guy that is here there now. When you look at how he take run things with Lagos, Alpha Beta, he knows how to milk everything out of anything. And
and
then
he's not shy about it at all.
because he thinks he can just get away with it.
But he's been getting away with it. That's the point.
Well,
I just,
you know what they say of one day monkey go market, go come back.
but how hey, my brother, because you see, we got to where we are right now. You've traced how we got to that place. But the point is, do you believe in juju? Is it juju that they do us? Why are we? That's what I'm saying. Like, what is happening? What
They
is?
say it in Nollywood now. They say don't be juju with that.
Oh boy,
But
that
don't be
juju
juju,
is the
don't
juju
be
that.
juju with that.
Okay, look, you said you were a member of you're a trade unionist. Okay,
Yes.
now compare what trade unionism is supposed to be and what we have in Nigeria. Look at Nigerian Labour Congress, for instance. Just look at what do you make of Nigerian Labour Congress? What's happening?
Well, that's another question. I'm happy to speak to that. I'm happy to speak to that. But the going back to this, the ruling class, we should not look at it that okay, we have not been able to fully defeat them, so nothing we are doing makes sense. No. If we have managed to push back, we could do more. We need to build our forces, revolutionary forces, to be able to fully defeat them. But it is not, things are not standing still. At times they even go backwards, to be honest, But the thing is that they are not invincible. They are not invincible, and we can win when we fight. Bertolt Brecht said something that when, I'm paraphrasing him here, when we fight, we might win, we might lose. But if we don't fight at all, we don't even lose
You already lost.
without firing yeah, So aluta continua. On the trade unions, I have had this debate and discussions time and time again. And before going into it, let me say I'm not making apologies for the trade unions. No, I think that a lot of things could be done better. But I also think that people, for different reasons and from different ways, misunderstand what the trade union movement brings to the table, as well as the limitations of the trade union movement. The trade unions are, first and foremost, the trade union ideology is an ideology of the capitalist system. The trade union, Escotoyo is the one that captures it. He said that trade union movement is a beggar's movement. It's fighting for crumbs from the master's table. It's not fighting to throw away that table. That is what revolutionary socialist organizations, revolutionary socialist movement, revolutionary movements, revolutionary democratic movement, parties, including like AAC, TIP, should. But part of the problem is a lot of the groups that are socialist groups, they just assume that, okay, because they have socialism, automatically they will lead the masses. When you don't have critical mass, you need to have a critical, you need to be present within the mass of the movement. It's not trade unions. What I see a lot of people, and as I said, there are different reasons for different views on trade unions. Those on the left, a lot see the trade unions as crutches. And I raised this in the Labour Party when, instead of fighting within the Labour Party, when I was an official there, the left in the Labour Party were just running to the trade unions to come in and take charge. That you cannot use the trade unions as crutches. Then, with regards to have the trade unions moving on? Of course, there have been a lot of rotten deals, and this cannot be defended. But what are the empirical facts about actions of the trade union movement? Nigeria formally became a colony, 1861, Lagos and all that. Between that and 1960, 100 years of formal colonialism, there was only one general strike, 1945. Between 1960 and 1992, there were two, well, some might say three, because you could talk of 63, but essentially it's 64, the Morgan general strike, then the strike for minimum wage unit, only two. In 1993, 94, you then had about you had about three strikes. In fact, the most significant thing was in 92. You had, within 82 days, two strikes, both of which brought down government. In the current 21st century, you have had 14 general strikes. It is significant. I mean, these are empirical things. You can dismiss of that. Well, what happened? It shows the power of the trade union occupy Nigeria. But rather than focus on the trade union leadership is doing this or not, that it is for us to build our strength within the rank and file to be able to tell truth to power. And when we say truth to power, it's not only to the ruling class, it's also to the bureaucracy of the trade unions. Because the bureaucracy of the trade unions, let's face the fact, are not, they are part of the working class in a broad sense. But I mean, the average president or general secretary in a trade union is a multimillionaire. So in terms of class, in terms, well, they are not capitalists in the class. But when you look at also the kind of investments they will put in and all that, they are materially closer to the ruling class. In 2004, 2005, some general secretaries came to complain to my boss, my general secretary, Medical Health Workers Union. Why? At one of the NLC schools, I pointed out that, look, the children of your general secretary or president are likely to go to the same schools with the children of your governor or senator, or for those in the private sector, your managing director, than your own children.
So in essence, what you're saying, let me see if I understand what you're saying. You're saying that in spite of all the things we have against something like the Nigerian Labour Congress, in spite of all their lapses, You're trying to say we should give them a pat on the back for having organized a lot of mass protests in a couple of years past. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying that it is not about pat on the back or shouting. It's not for us to laugh or to cry, but to understand. If we want
Mm.
to change society, we need to understand the dynamics, the social dynamics that we are part of and that are unfolding before us. We should be able to work with the trade unions, work within the trade unions, if need be, work, fight principled, comradely with the trade union leadership. We should not, what I'm saying is not the same thing as saying that we should not point out that, okay, no be so, it's supposed to be. But there's a difference between critique and abuse. What I see most people, even those of us that are genuinely committed to, is like, instead of critiquing what the trade union bureaucracy does, is about abuse. It's more like, yeah, the head no correct, blah, 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 blah. And it does not help matters. It does not
Okay,
enable.
you
It
see?
does not. We should critique. I even as a trade unionist, I remember in 2000. Sorry, I'll very quickly in
Yeah, go ahead.
2011, and then I was working with the NLC on. I was on secondment at NLC's request to bring in particular skills. I was there, and I wrote something. Someone called me. Several people called me, but there was a particular caller. I'll not forget. Say, Baba, you don't get another job. I said, look, the thing is this. I'm in the trade unions because I am a revolutionary socialist, and that is everybody knows that. And I will not sacrifice my voice and my passion and my sense of commitment because because I'm a full timer there. No, we should critique, yes, but it should not be reduced to abuse, and it should appreciate the full picture of things, including the dynamics of what has been done and some of the objective reasons for the limitations of. We shouldn't make an excuse for the trade union, but most importantly above it all is we need to build our strength as revolutionary organizations, because the thing is this: power respect only power. When it is said that power respect only power, people think that it has to do only with the power interclass. No, even in terms of cooperation and collaboration within the oppressed class, and which is but today in Nigeria, hungry man has become what I say. Okay, I read you, Emmanuel. So I'll come to that. So it's that even within us, if we bring a critical mass to the table, we can also have more reasonable engagements in putting pressure on the bureaucracy of the trade unions. But the most important force for putting that is the rank and file, which we should win to our ranks, which we should win to revolutionary politics and ideas. That's the way to go.
All right. You know what I hear you saying. You talk a lot from a certain level, and this is based on your experience, okay, and the level at which you operated. Now let's bring this down. For the guy on the street who is feeling the pinch of what Tinubu's administration is doing, how they've been going about their business, how how do we get this person to be able to stand up and say, no, I don't do again. This thing, I'm feeling the pain. How? What should we do? Like if you were to put in charge of waking up Nigerians to be able to speak up against what's happening to them, where will you start? What should we do? Who are not members of
Uh,
the labor unions?
you know this song by Dylan, "The Answer is Blowing in the Wind."
Yes.
Yes, and so that actually speaks to it, and I'll get more concrete. End bad governance. How did it start?
Mm.
Don't forget that there have been waves. It started by people on the street in Suleja and Kano, market women
Mm-hmm.
who were fed up. It was after the masses move that even the trade unions then organized the February 29 action, then the radical left and so on and so forth. The thing about this is the message to the average working class person is that it is we that can fight and win our own liberation. And that is, in fact, you have what are we, what are we even saying? What I will tell the person is what you have already said with the title of today's this thing. Stop agonizing, start organizing. And for us as activists and organized activists, and that is where organization is critical. Most revolutions and revolutionary situations, they start spontaneously. But without organization, they easily dissipate. It is organization that turns the heat, like the way a steam engine turns heat into motion. And I'll give concrete example even in our history. Probably the largest number of people on the streets in Lagos ever was on July 5, 1993. I remember even Daily Times, that was the most conservative in the figures it gave. It said there were over 800,000 people. July 5. And why? How? After Tinubu, no, after, sorry, after Babangida annulled the elections, Campaign for Democracy, despite having been even against the elections, mobilized. I was a field coordinator then in Mushi with the likes of Femi Obayori. We pasted, posted everything. I remember the day before that July 5, some of us were seated at Maria with what's his name, Beko. And Beko was saying, look, with the kind of that, we definitely will have up to 5,000 people on the street. And we are saying 5,000, okay, with the kind of work we did, we'll have over 10,000. Eventually, there were figures of even over 1 million. And for you to have an idea of that, it was that day that I understood what is meant when revolution is described as festival of the oppressed. You see, from that MQ Abiola cruise, enter Toyin Street, enter Allen Avenue, enter Obafemi Awolowo Way, down to Agege Motor Road. It was a sea of heads. People were meeting. It's like me, and I go plenty school. I go like 4 primary school, like 5 secondary school, and I was seeing people from almost all these that I had never seen before. People came out, Emma. But what is the importance of that to what we are saying here? Without campaign for democracy to turn that mass anger. Don't forget also there had been spots of action. Immediately it was another, including the one led by Showore, and which I was part of then, to the NLC secretariat to to invite the NLC president to Unilag to explain why they that kind of thing, not take action with the people. So the need for for revolutionary organization, revolutionary parties, movements, socialist groups, parties cannot be overemphasized. But the place of the working class, because what a strike does, a strike is like an ultimate power of sorts. But it is not something, and I'm coming back to the issue of the trade unions, because I see Emmanuel. Emmanuel, thanks for your comments, and I would want to respond to this because it speaks to what we have been saying earlier, that the trade unions are no longer working in the interest of the masses. Why do they always call off the strike even when the demands have not been met? They just settle them and move on. You are saying so. I don't hear you. Chidi. I know say now something where you hear. I believe you are concurring with Emmanuel. I can imagine. But make I hear what they talk.
When they talk, I dey concur with the man and say,
I
yes,
know.
I go
I
like make
know.
you talk about that one because honestly, I know you are showing sympathy for the trade unions, and there's a place and time for everything. But you see, right
It's not
now, to
sympathy.
the
Oh.
man on the streets, I want you to tell us how to organize. How? Where do we start? Do we? That's really
Very
what
good.
I want to. How? Because they don't tire. The people, if the trade union, honestly speaking, I agree. I mean, I respect the things you're saying because obviously you know more than me in that aspect. But to tell you from face value, the NLC and their kinds have disappointed the masses. If they knew what they were doing, all these protests will yield something. But it looks now, just like Emma was saying, now it begins to look like they do this with the government. They do it in such a way that the government now it doesn't it does you know when you do like a protest or a strike, you know how the government will be trembling. Now you don't see them tremble anymore because you could almost read the pattern. So let's leave NLC by themselves. The man on the street, how does he start to organize? Because he's the one that is organizing more than everybody else. It is that man on the street. That's how do we get this? I know something in my head tells me like the answer is in the wind. It tells when I say how do we start organizing, I'm hearing that I should go and start organizing those people. But I'm asking.
No, no, no. We all have roles to play there, but we would not leave in. It's not even NLC. You see, I think there are a number of concepts and social forces that are interrelated but different, and which we collapse together.
Mm.
There's the trade unions, the trade union movement, the working class. NLC, for example, is not a trade union.
Mm.
It's a trade union federation. It's a part of the trade union movement. It is not a trade union.
Mm.
Because the dynamics are different. The members of the NLC are not workers. The members of NLC are affiliates, are trade unions.
Oh.
It's trade unions members are workers. Members of NLC are not, in the broad sense, I say they are, but they are the and it comes with different kind of dynamics.
So who is the head of the trade unions? Who organizes the whole trade unions in Nigeria?
You have trade union federations. Then you have trade unions.
So
Then
why
within trade union,
hasn't the trade union, which is like okay, but actually when
the
you look
trade
at it,
union movement. But the
mm-hmm,
working class movement is also broader than the trade union movement.
mm-hmm,
It encompasses even unorganized workers in the
mm-hmm,
formal economy. Let me to link this. What does the average worker do, and how do we fight to change the issue of trade union? One of the underappreciated actions, I think, last year was the independent union of the union of the action by independent bus drivers in Lagos,
mm-hmm.
the strike. And do you know why it's important? This is a union in which it has close working. In fact, it's declared its full support for the AAC gubernatorial elections because it's independent of the, like for example, you see the NURTW2, you have the what's the MC Oluomo and all those kind of
Mm-hmm.
groups,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So is that to what extent do we as revolutionary forces have win working class forces to our ideas? Without the merger of working class people and revolutionary ideas, it is impossible to change the system. And the trade union movement they could be pushed, but they are not primarily revolutionary organizations. And the people that have the democratic right also to even push them are the members in the trade unions. So the thing is, to what extent are revolutionary organizations taking ideas for total liberation to the rank and file worker instead of trying to use the trade union bureaucracy as crutches and then go. You see, when I hear people talk of, like, for example, my very good friend Maz, they saying that the trade union betrayed the masses. To me, it's like when you say, oh no, the cows have betrayed carnivorous people. Imagine there is meat there and they are not eating it, they are only eating grass. The trade unions are being what they are. The trade union bureaucracy, which are the ones that give thanks, which are the ones that lead the trade union movement. They are doing exactly what they are meant to do, which is to mediate between capital and the state, that's government on one hand, and the working class on the other. They are not built to overturn the system. You see, it's easy to, like, when people always give this idea of the good old days, the old days are better. What is the actual empirical fact? I spoke about that. You had only 2 general strikes in the first 30 years of Nigeria's independence. Yeah, in the first 30 years, you had only two general strikes. Did any of them win their total demands? No, no. As I keep repeating, this is not in any way to rub the head of the district. Is that the nature of trade unionism is give and take, collective bargaining ideology. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
partly because people don't know history. And they just assume that, okay, before the trade union, we're always fighting and winning all their demand. No, check it.
So so
The
so 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 see, I'm trying.
of course,
See, my
yes.
brother, I'm trying to break it down here. So trade unions are different from the labor congress, because according to you, trade union is people who are working, they have a job, they belong to the union for people in their work, in their profession, whatever they're doing. That's trade union. But the labor congress is now everybody, whether you get work or they get, or
No,
whether you
no, no.
have work or
Let me break it down. Let me break it down. Let me
help
break
me
it down.
understand.
The working class is everybody that works, whether you are employed or not,
Mhm.
and whether you belong to a trade union or not. Working class, and we constitute the majority in the in the society, and
Mhm.
it's the working class that is most exploited by those that are exploiting all of us. So it stands to benefit most and has the power to overturn the system. But now, the trade unions are the primary organizations for the economic defense of workers that are organized, mainly in the formal sector. For example, Nupeng is a trade union. NUT is a trade union for teachers. So many, NAM, Nurses Union, all these are trade unions. Now, trade unions and their primary concerns are economic. Even we often face just the issue of the general strikes and all that. And I mean, but you also have strikes by trade unions, like you have Joesu go on strike for workers in the health sector and all that. But that's another kettle of fish. The trade unions members are workers. Then the trade unions themselves and the leaders of the trade unions themselves are also part of the bureaucracy, come together to establish trade union federations like the NLC and the TUC. So, and the thing is this, with the trade union move, is like the higher you go, the cooler the breeze. That's why you see, although, I mean, of course, like every rule, there are exceptions and all that. A trade union leader is more likely to be radical at the shop steward, that is workplace level, than the one at the state council level. The state council level is more likely to be radical than the one at the national level, because, the higher you go, the more the body, I mean, honorarium, check-off dues, and all that as well. So, the trade union federations play a political role, and I know that is why the issue of NLC strike, all these things come up, and because they are the ones that, when you talk of general strike, is usually mobilized for by the trade union federations. So what I'm saying is that it is not for us to see the trade union federations as crutches. Yes, we can argue that they cannot reduce their demands to simply economic demands. We can push for, yes, there's the need for political action. There's the need to fight for even much more than just the working class, the organized workers. But it's also about how do we mobilize within the working class as a, between NLC and TUC and their affiliates. The total number of workers they organize is much less than 10 million. What are evolutionary organizations doing in terms of reaching out to those unions, but even beyond that, outside that? And that's why I gave the example of the Independent Bus Drivers Union, which was radicalized by African Action Congress and Take It Back movement. What are organizations doing in the working class communities? And that's another great thing TIB did, because when we're talking of how do we organize, in 2019, the TIB organized community resistance in Mushi, in Oshodi, in Orile Gomu, in a number of places against epileptic power supply and crazy billing, And so how do we raise, even in Okitipupa, Benin, Enugu, TIB comrades organized. No, that of Enugu, I think, was the community, but in Benin, Okitipupa, they shut down the road, the highway leading to Ore and all that. So we should not we should not just simply castigate the trade union. We should criticize, we should critique that, yes, so and so, but when we reduce it to just abusing, it does not serve any genuine purpose, and rather it masks what is the weakness of the revolutionary left. It's understandable that people that don't grasp the dynamics of things might just see it as the trade unions are betraying and all that. But it is for us to take the level of understanding beyond beyond this to a more scientific one. Because if everything is the way they appear, there will be no need for science.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it still has to be like you're making an excuse for the trade unions. But okay, trade unions are there. I still haven't connected how to be able to get the masses to a point where they can actually express themselves. I know that a revolutionary kind of movement, as they say, is not something you announce. It's not something you consciously plan for a particular date if it's a revolution. I mean, actions happen, and then by virtue of their happening at a certain period, just like when the police attacked that person that we're not even sure they killed him. I don't think they killed him, but then see what it resulted in, because people were already fed up. Okay, so even though revolution is catalyzed by things happening, but I want to know, because people have sat down and not do anything for so long. That's why I'm a little bit in a hurry. Okay, I'm a little bit agitated. I want to see things start happening. So in spite of all that organization, though we know we can't organize a revolution and put a date for it, what should we be doing? I want practical things, something that somebody on the streets of Lagos or Enugu or Jos or Abuja, they will hear right now and they will start doing something because you two talked about action, an action that we can take immediately. What are those things? Because there has to be something that you can say, let's do as a prelim, as a foundation for where we want to go. Something that if we do it, it will keep the government busy while we go and mobilize and do the real thing we want to do.
The first thing is organization. SOB no be one man job. The first thing is organization. So to answer direct with regards to what is, so if you are not a member of the revolutionary organization, wherever you are, I would say go and join the Take It Back movement, join the African Action Congress, and together, because you cannot SOB no woman job. So the first thing is about organization, and alongside organization, the issues of organizing, mobilizing, and education, including self-education. I mean, you cannot. I think it was Che Guevara that said the first duty of a revolutionary is education, to know, waiting you sabi, you be master of. Waiting you know sabi be your master. And
Mm.
part of the problem is that in Nigeria, if you don't want people to see something, put it inside a book. I mean, I'm not like every anecdotal term, that is just talking generally, but the fact is that people do less and less of reading. Uh, um, you really can't change society without understanding it. The point is to change society, but first you have to understand it, and that includes both learning from experience. The biggest school in the world, the biggest university in the world is life itself. So you learn,
Yes.
but there's also the theoretical dimensions of it, learning from, because experience is the best teacher, but other people's experience are cheaper than the experience that you go through. So you learn from
By
history,
yourself, yeah.
and you need to read to do this. And who
The
was
one
it also
about the
that?
one about reading, the one
Mhm.
about reading for the man on the streets. That one no work. Oh.
Well, no, the thing is, why you keep even saying man and woman, and
Woman, okay,
but
man and woman. I want to be
everybody, yeah,
politically correct. I
and
beg you.
person.
When I say man,
No,
I
no, no.
mean man and woman.
Everybody, man, woman,
Everybody,
binary,
please.
non-binary, and so. But
Yes, I
the
beg.
thing is, yeah, the thing is this: you need to, because we cannot just say that people read. Though it's just that they spend hours doing scrollology, reading Facebook, reading Instagram. We have to change our mentality. I mean, this stop agonizing, start organizing. It was popularized during the civil rights movement in the United States of part of North America,
Mm-hmm.
by, yeah, it was in the 60s. And people like Kwame Ture, who was initially what's his first name? But anyway, Kwame Ture, so they were the ones. And what am I trying to draw out? I mean, Black Panther parties, although you had to read. Look, you had to read. You had to read. It does not mean that you read the kind of cake book, thick books. Like, you don't need to read cake book. Even at times pamphlet, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. I think one of the most powerful pieces on socialism is the one by Albert Einstein. Why am I a socialist, or something like that? And many people don't even know that he's socialist. And it's just a few pages in the monthly review. So you have to read. But it is not just about reading, because I mean, it's not just about interpreting the world, it's about changing it. You have to organize, and organizing entails, reaching out, within your workplace to other workers, within your community to others there, within your campus as students and all that, and building forces together to be able to challenge the system. And to Because you see, at times people will be like, this thing is a long time, nothing has changed. When you look at it, there are changes. But yes, revolution, social revolution, going beyond where we are now, it's not just something that you also need to have revolutionary patience, because it is a marathon, it is not a sprint. There's something Escotoyo, I mean, once told me about a discussion he had with Michael Limodu. After he finished his master's, then I think it was actually his second master's, if I'm not mistaken, in Poland. And he wanted to come back home because, he was keen on coming back to the struggle. He said that Baba Mudu said, look, We need our own intellectuals, this that finish this thing that look, your PhD. The struggle won't finish before you come. There will always be something to fight. That's what's on the streets in Nigeria. You go say, well, I'll be like bicycle. So they say that we haven't seen something like this before. We are just using it to scare the person, because part of what of that, look, this thing, it doesn't change all this while, and without looking at some side and aspect of what is in, and most importantly, our building force to be able to overthrow things. It can be demoralizing, especially where people are also not ideologically rooted, and that is part of where the reading also comes in. And people see both the short term, the mid term, and the long term of social evolution and the struggle to change society for the better, and the struggle, the revolutionary struggle for total liberation that is at the heart of what is to be done.
I want to just sorry. Sorry, I was trying to connect myself. I wanted to share with people, guys, I want to, just in case some of you are wondering how you can belong, I can tell you what I know. I can't tell you what I do not know. Because I'm a member of the Take It Back movement, and it's a revolutionary movement. You already heard that. But I'm going to go, it's just to help you if you wanted to become a member. Okay. What was I? I thought I pulled something up. Did I? Did I? Oh, I was looking to pull up the Take It Back movement.
The website, no?
Yeah, the website. It's okay. Let me put the link here. I'll put the link here, and let's take it back. Takeitbackglobal.com.
Yeah.
Yes, takeitbackglobal.com. That is the website. Okay, takeitbackglobal.com. If you wish to, you can you can uh, you can actually join when you get there. Takeitbackglobal.com. The reason I wanted to go there is to be able to show people how to navigate to the page. But just type takeitbackglobal.com and you will see how you can join the page. Okay, this is the page. This is the page here. Um, the alternative. Okay, you can read about so many things. From this, they always want to feature what is going on out there. People who are oppressed, people who, you see, it says become a member, and under this tab you can join and register, and somebody will get back to you. So like I said, remember, it's takeitbackglobal.com. Takeitbackglobal.com. It's not good to sit on the fence, even if you're not joining Take It Back Global. From what Baba Aye is saying, make sure you join something. Make sure you read. Make sure you get involved. Don't just sit back and keep complaining. For me, that's the one that kills me. You just keep complaining. You're not doing anything, and you think something will happen, or you're just saying that people who are doing are not doing enough. You have to get involved. Me, I've always gotten involved all from my school days, and see what I became today. Now, just still struggling.
So Aluta continua until victory,
I'm telling
You
you.
know what the Cuban revolutionary said is, I mean, liberty or death. I mean, so it's
Yeah.
whichever comes first. Just quickly, I because there's some things on the chat. I was going to move on. Very lovely, interesting discussions. Thanks, and thanks, Florence. I'm happy that the explanation was useful. And yes, Adeyinka, you got Stockley Carmichael. That's a Kwame Ture. of this Student National Coordinating, the Non-Violence Coordinating, SNCC, Student Non-Violent Coordinating Committee. And incidentally, he was also partner to Maria Makeba for some time, and they lived in Guinea together.
Wow.
What Dean said takes me back to, when I was saying the two legs, and how the two legs of that K leg take waka together. Often people talk about, the trade unions, they don't fuck up, it don't be like before. But Dean pointed out something of that back then in the college, student union leaders. If you look at NLC vis-a-vis NANS, you will see that what I'm trying to say here is that there has been a major degeneration ideologically from the 80s. And I happen to see it clearly because I spent almost a decade in school due to political victimizations. If I went to 3 universities in Nigeria and in different zones, the Ilorin, Lagos, Enugu, and then also 3 outside. But that's another story. But the important thing here is that, and this was between the 80s and the 90s. So what happened after that? Now, is it not the same Nance? They will be stumbling over each other to give awards to the same people destroying Nigeria. You understand? So but what is the major difference between then and now? It was that the students, most of those student leaders you see as of that time, Dean, were socialists, were revolutionaries. And there was a culture on the campuses with socialist groups. In those days, as people are coming into school, you see radical news boards, you see socialists, which is just as the evangelicals, they try to win people to join them, say, Jambite, the socialist groups too are winning and all this. But now, there are very, very few socialist groups on any campus and only on few campuses. And that is also part of the importance of a group like Take It Back movement. It's the only radical group of any sort that is on a wide spectrum of campuses, So there's a lot that still needs to be done, but part of the problem is we need to know, to borrow from Chino Achebe, understand where the rain started beating us to know waiting day and what is to be done.
You know what, Baba, we have to still discuss this thing, because one big thing like Florence that I am taking from this discussion, I didn't also understand. I just lumped everybody together, trade unions, labor unions, and all of those. I used to think everybody was together. Now I notice that from your explanation that each person operates in their own environment, and what one can do, the other may not be well suited to do it. So now, but there are a few people like Omoyele Shore who would call for certain things and have followership. And how do we avoid? Because sometimes you see that when the nation, when people, when the masses are always waiting for this one person to mobilize them, it's not a good, for me, it's not a sustainable system. Because that means this person, if they get tired, everybody gets tired. If they don't make the move, nobody makes the move. So instead of having to always rely on someone, to the point where when there's a problem, people will actually come to you and say, are you not going to do strike? Will you people, they've told, take it back several times. Are you people, when are you people going to do strike? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they think that's all you strike this with you. That's your training. How are we able to make people, I guess the same question I've been asking, to be able to on their own? Because I believe there is a level that if we get our people to, and something happens, honestly, in a synchronized action, simultaneously, you see somebody in Benin reacting the same way as somebody in Benin Kebbi because of the consciousness that is in them as citizens. So I am wondering how I'll be able to get it to that point.
Well, first and foremost, although I realize the difference between an organization or a federation, in this case, an individual, but you could replace Shore and NLC for what you had earlier been saying
Mhm.
of of when I keep talking of crutches and all that and that, look, going beyond just saying why are the NLC selling out or not, but much more seriously is there are two things. I
Mhm.
keep saying that the people are not dumb.
Yeah.
It is true that there's one song we used to sing, and I would translate it. Say, "I'm a struggle, kasi mashaluta. Come a struggle, kasi mashaluta. Ta ló lè mọ ìgbà àbí àkókò tí revolution yóò dé? I'm a struggle." Now look, in a sense, the revolution is like a thief in the night. Look at the history of revolutions. Usually, the first moment of revolution is spontaneous. Nobody asks Bozazi to set himself on fire on Tunisia.
Mhm.
One thing led to the other, you have Arab Spring. Uh, what of even Occupy Nigeria? People immediately, Goodluck Jonathan raised this thing. People took to the streets without any gas. By 2nd of January 2012, one Muri became the first martyr of that struggle. He was killed in Lorry. You understand? What of anti-SAP? Well, some extent of mobilization by students and other, but the gas goes spontaneous. June 12, before we moved out on that July 5, they had been spontaneous. But the thing is, there is the need for organization to turn this spontaneity of the first moment. And it's not only in Nigeria. Look at our Africa. People talk about the Russian Revolution. It was women that went out on International Women's Day to demand bread and all that, and it became a bigger thing. Check any revolution. So, but the thing is, we need to, and that's why I say the first thing is organization, because you might not be able to say the first move. It's usually 99.9%, I dare say, spontaneous. But to take it beyond that, there's the need for organization. So the first thing is getting people organized around revolutionary ideas and the deepening of understanding of what is, why it is, what is to be done, and how to go about this. So that is how they know to lose initiative. Then another aspect of this is there's a pamphlet, I think, at the Leon Trotsky, or leaders, parties, and classes. There's no leader that is just only, even if you talk of Shore, there are several layers of leaders. A leader could be a symbol, and that's one of the things I love about the Take It Back movement. There are some groups that are the leader, nobody can talk to him. When they are Take It Back movement, now debates. And this is part of the beauty of it. This is part of the dynamics of it as a revolutionary democratic organization with robust internal democracy. There are even some of these groups that say socialism, you cannot talk to their general secretary, and they are no more than 20 or 30. This is a group that has thousands of members, and you have critique of even its leader within this thing. So it's not only him, it is an organization, and that is why it has meaning. Good. Showere has been running Sahara Reporters, doing expose and all that before Take It Back movement was built in 2008, and he committed time, committed resources with several forces to doing that. But it took Take It Back movement for him to be able to organize a revolutionary campaign, even when he was in jail that went on. I don't know if you understand. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference. There's a difference between post also pre-take it back movement, sure, because these were the two periods where it was not just a voice, it was symbolic of a movement, or as in the case of also then the union, even be because it was also JCC chair for Lagos and all that. So even for both leader and everybody, the point of departure is organization, internal democracy within this organization, but political education and mobilization. We cannot just say we predict when revolution will start or this time, but we have to fight. Even, if we cannot walk, we crawl. If we how did this, if we cannot run, you walk. If you cannot walk, you crawl. If you cannot crawl, you shout. Keep moving.
Yes, just keep moving.
But you move with sense, so nobody say just they move anyhow. And that sense goes with theory. It's theory and practice have to work together, because I mean it was Kwame Nkrumah that said it, that we have to act as the men of action with ideas. He talk you as he talk, but the way I usually think is that, look, theory without practice is lame. Leg the pain, I know if you work out well.
Mm-hmm.
But practice without theory is blind. You understand? It's like BBC, according to Fela, big blind country, how they go know whether, the eye, whether you go borrow eye in the country of the blind. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important, theory and practice, building organization, mobilization of working class people in our unions, in our communities, you know, and mobilization, consolidation of and also uniting our forces. That's the way to go forward. Look, we might say that we haven't fully won, but we are not losing. We are not. The greatest force on earth is our collective strength. We have shown this time and again. NSAS, the trade unions have it, but it is limited when it is informed only by trade union ideology. And the trade union bureaucracy's ideology is trade union is part of the ideology of the capitalist system. It is a negotiation ideology. It's an ideology of collective bargaining, but we need to deep into go beyond that. We need to build revolutionary forces with deep roots within working class people and youth, and we have to be consistent about this. And we should not be under any illusion. It is not a sprint; it is a marathon. We fight till we win. We win total liberation.
Ah, Comrade Baba Aye, I don't want to abuse this opportunity of bringing you live. What you've succeeded in doing here tonight is I was nudging you. I was nudging you. I was trying to push you to maybe say what, sometimes you want people to say what you want to hear, but they have been through so much, they've had so much experience that they cannot but just tell you what is. When you're telling a doctor, just you don't need to put anesthetics, you don't need to sanitize the instruments, just cut my tummy and remove the appendix. And that's what I was trying to do to you, but you've said no. You've tried to go to the rudiments, and like when you were talking about education, if people need to educate themselves, they need to educate themselves. There's no two ways about it. And this whole thing is about, if you want to get it, then you have to get it right. It may not, even if it doesn't happen in your time, but you are laying down the foundation, the principles that will make us succeed. What I hear you saying is like, a lot of times when we've tried to do things and not do it the way we're supposed to do it, that's why we ended up with the results that we had. So I want to thank you for laying this foundation. We'll continue with the struggle. We'll call you back to explain to us, so that I think the more we understand how things come to be, why Nigeria is the way it is, the more we are prepared to do what is needful, even when it looks like it's not a quick action, even when it looks like it's rigorous, even when it requires the legwork, we'll be willing to do that with a better understanding. Thank you so much for coming to our show today. I want to appreciate you for all the work you do. Yeah, you had so many meetings today. You're still going to jump into another one. But thank you so much. Thank you for all the job you do for revolutionary movements, the Take It Back movement, the African Action Congress, or the cause, so many other organizations, Revolution Now, so many other organizations that you've been part of, uh, midwifing. I want to appreciate you. History will always be kind to your name. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your kind perspective to this, and keep on the good work of the worship ministry with this sort of programs. And a luta continua, Victoria
Victoria
Sata.
Aseta. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that was Baba Aye. You see, when you